Time now for some space chat. ANU cosmologist Brad Tucker joins me now. Brad, thanks so much for joining me today. Let's get straight into it. The oldest black hole in the universe has been discovered. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so, we get excited sometimes by old things because they're also usually the most distant things. So this is a black hole that's discovered essentially is about 600 and almost 700 million years after the Big Bang. So the universe is about 13.8 billion years old. So this is essentially one of the first black holes we think in the universe. Now, that's exciting for a few reasons. It tells us when these things were able to at least start to form. When did stars and then therefore galaxies start to form? And also, this thing is so big, it's raising some questions about exactly how these black holes form, because we think that it started off at about 10,000 times the mass of our sun. That was when it was a baby, 10,000 times the mass of our sun. So to be that big that early is quite a surprise and an interest to a lot of us.
Yeah, I can tell you're excited about it. Brad, tell us as well, a super Earth has been discovered around one of the oldest stars in the galaxy.
Yeah, so super Earths are actually fairly common types of planets. Now, we don't have one in our solar system. We have our four rocky planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, and we have Jupiter and Saturn, the gas giants and the ice giants. Well, it turns out there's a planet kind of in between Earth and Neptune, and we call them super Earths. So this planet is about twice or about 3.5 times bigger, so width-wise, as our own Earth, and it's a bit heavier than our own Earth. Now, the fact that it's around an old star, so this star we think is about 10 billion years old. So again, our universe is 13.8 billion years old. It's one of the first stars born. So we thought that maybe these stars either don't have planets or the planets have been destroyed because that star is aged too quickly or aged long ago. So the fact that they found it around one of these old stars just shows just how common planets are. We keep saying every time we find a new planet around a new type of star or a new type of planet, it just really goes to show just how common and for how long planets have been, and that our solar system is definitely not the only one out there.
Looks like there's plenty more room for discovery as well. Brad, this next one's really a story that pricks my ears. A dozen bottle of Bordeaux wine will come back from space next month. Tell us about that and if I can have them.
That's right. Look, it's all in the name of science, at least they say. So now, so that's right. So they did send about 12 bottles of Bordeaux back in February last year on a SpaceX cargo mission. Now, the goal here was to test how microgravity affects wine in space. So they put them in these sealed aluminum containers, these steel containers as well, just to really make sure they didn't break on the rocket launch. Now, the goal is microgravity changes the way fluids move. We know it affects the human body in space. So how does this affect any fermentation, any alcohol content, any sedimentary buildup in the wine? So it'll be brought back in a couple of weeks. They will do a variety of testing, chemical testing, smell, taste, so there will be people drinking it.
That's what I wanted to know.
Exactly. Now, I'm not going to be critical here, but you may not have the fine palate they're looking for here.
I definitely do not. An $8 bottle of wine will do me, so I don't think I'll have a refined taste for that one.
But there is a potential here because they also sent their own vineyards. They actually sent some grapes or some vines up to the space station to see again. So we do know space affects the growth of plants. So they will then plant those vines back here on Earth and then grow it. So you could have maybe some pseudo space wine in the future. So maybe keep an eye out for that.
That's exciting. I like the idea of that. Finally, Brad, it turns out that Mars poles are wobbling around like Earth's are.
Now, this sounds kind of a little bit weird, and it's actually a really important thing. So Earth actually wobbles about every 27,000 years. So we actually kind of do this circle. And what it means is that if you look at the stars in the nighttime sky, they actually change over time, both because they're moving, but also we're doing this wobble. Now, we've never found a wobble around another planet until Mars. Now, there's been almost 20 years of wobbling of data from Mars that has shown that it wobbles a bit like Earth. So the North and South Pole is not exactly where the North and South Pole used to be. Now, what this means is it's interesting because Mars appears to be the only other planet, at least in our solar system, that used to be rich in water, lots of water on the surface. So there may be something that says water really affects the motions of the planets. Now, that's interesting for how the planet forms, how the water stays on that planet, but also how close in evolution and history Mars is to Earth. So it's a really big surprise that these scientists found, and one that will obviously be studied a little bit more to gather insight on how common and how water affects a planet, because water is so far the key to life.
Brad, that was awesome. I reckon you need to be speaking to as many people as you can about space, because you just say it in such a easy to understand way, and I loved all of those topics. So thanks so much for chatting with me this afternoon.
Anytime, and keep your eye out for space wine.
Okay, don't have to tell me twice. Thanks, Brad.